Hey, have you ever wondered about a Camp Chef stove? If you should get one and how easy it is or difficult it is to set it up? Well, I'm going to show you right now. Stick with me. But hey, real quick, check out MikenRickOutDOORS.com and MikenRickOutdoors on YouTube. We have a lot of great videos, and I'm going to show you this Kodiak canvas tent. I've already done some reviews and setup on it. I'm going to show you how to cook on this stove and how to secure this pipe better. So I'm going to create several playlists. One of them's on camp cooking, one of them's on Kodiak canvas tents, and another one's going to be on wood stoves for tents. Check all that out in the description below. But if you want to see Mike set up his winter well tent that he had last year and the oven on it and how he cooked on it, check that out right here. And again, it'll be in the description below. All right, let's get to setting this up. First thing you got to do is make sure everything's out. Now I want to tell you real fast. I have my stovepipe on the floor. It's got screws in it. I wanted it secure. I've been through some really tough storms. I'll have another video right here for that, where, man, we were going through a really rough storm. The Kodiak canvas tents did really well, but I wouldn't want a fire going. And in fact, Kodiak canvas says if you're in high winds, don't have a fire going in the stove. But I'll leave it up to you to be careful and be safe. But if you secure this pipe, and I'm going to show you in another video how I do that, and it's going to be in the description below, but you can secure this pipe better. So when the wind's really blowing, this is a sturdy tent, but you know, it's going to be moving on you. And if you don't secure it, those pipes will move a little bit. So I'm going to show you how I secure that. But let's set this stove up. And again, I don't have everything aside. I've already taken everything out, except for the one thing that the wood sits on, the grill. So let's go get to it. So after everything is out, we want to turn it over on the top. And we're going to secure these legs. Now these legs, they have these adjustments on them. So on one side, you can adjust it to make it more level. Okay, once the legs are all on, we're going to flip it back over. Now, I want to tell you really fast. Camp Chef says make sure that you always clean out your ashes afterwards because there's moisture in it. It can rust this out. So this is pretty close to where that hole is. You can see where I've got these double mats down here. I've got another video I'll have a link to right here why I'm using double mats. Anyway, it's lined up pretty good. Now let's get everything put together inside of it. So this is what the wood sits on. There's nothing here that you know, that it would sit on. It's just the bottom, and it can move a little bit. All right, so that's ready to go. Then we put these shelves on the side. It's really simple to put this thing together. Honestly, the hardest part for me is the stovepipe. So on that note with the stovepipe, I did a first, you know, out of the box, setting this thing up, running a fire in it for the first time, putting that stovepipe up, and there's a video of that right here, and you can see that in the description below. Okay, so the first thing you want to do before you put that pipe through here is you need to roll this up. It's got some zippers right here. If you're not using the stove and maybe you're in the summer, these are great tents. These Kodiak canvas tents, can't say enough. Check it out in the description below. I've done some recent videos of setting this tent up, and then I'm going to have a review on it. So check it out. That setup is right here. Again, check the description out below. So you want to secure this really well, because you do not want this canvas coming in contact with that stovepipe. It'll burn it. This canvas is maybe a little bit fire retardant, probably not much, but a little bit. But still, if you come in contact with it, you can burn this tent down. So even these straps right here, I'm going to tuck in behind, underneath here, because I do not want anything coming in contact with that stove. It's going to be a hot pipe. You can see the pipe right here at the top. It's got the spark arrestor on it. It's a mesh spark arrestor. I got a better idea for you rather than this. But it'll go on after I put the pipe through from the bottom. All right, we got that flap opened out there. Everything's ready. We got the top of the pipe out there. Here is the other pipe. You would put it all together. You can actually fit it inside the stove. Each of these pieces slides into the other one. Then you can put it together. I chose to, screw these together and leave them together because I've got room in my truck, so where I don't have to take it apart every time. It's up to you, depending on what you want to do or how much room you have. You may want to put it back in the stove when you're done. All right, this stovepipe is 6 inches in diameter, roughly give or take a 1/2 inch. Depending on the size of your pipe, you may have to get a different adapter. If you have a winter well stove, they're like 3.5 inches, I think. You need an adapter. So check that adapter out in the description below. Mike put one together, so he had to do that with his tent. So we're gonna go put this pipe through here from the bottom. And as you can see, it's a perfect fit. Be careful, these pipes are sharp. So I'm putting up enough here. I'm gonna go a little bit higher because see, it's gonna hold it while I now bring my, well, I say it's gonna hold it. Come on, get up there. Well, that's gonna hold, the tent's gonna hold it for a minute. I'm gonna pull my stove back. Then, now this will handle the weight of it. If you guys have any tips how you put this stuff together or a better way, just a little tips and tricks, man. Love to hear from you guys. All right, that is not quite straight. Let's see, that's pretty close, not there yet. Now my mat's a little bit off, and honestly, I am going to run a fire in this later. I'm going to show you how I cook camp pizza. So I'm going to pull the mat over. All right, we are camping. It does not have to be perfect. I'm going to shove this pipe down as far into the stove as I can. Make sure it's secure. There's no way to screw anything in there. But again, just push it down as hard as you can. Wiggle it a little bit. I'm going to go back out and push this down a little. All right, looks to be a pretty good fit outside. Let's go outside, put the rest of it together. One thing you may need is a step ladder. Don't forget that. I do have it. Let's go put the top of this on. Yeah, I can't reach the top of that. If I was really tall, maybe. That's why you want a step ladder. Hey, do you really need a spark arrestor, a mesh spark arrestor? Well, what about a rain cap spark arrestor? Well, let me show you real quick why I think you need this versus just the mesh. Well, let me tell you real quick why I think this is not enough. Now, if it's going to be dry and you're in Arizona and it never rains, okay, this is fine. But I'm in Colorado, and in the summer, I'm telling you, we've got these, I guess it's not monsoons necessarily, but they call them, it's a monsoon season. It's basically, I think, maybe into end of July, August, into part of September. And it's really this way kind of throughout the summer. It'll be a gorgeous morning. In the afternoons, these major storms will pick up. Sometimes not major, just, some decent rain. Sometimes they're major thunderstorms. So this is a 6-inch pipe. I can tell you from experience that a lot of rain will get down in this pipe in a big storm. A really bad rain, you could get 1 inch, 2 inches or so of rain in here, a 1/2 inch of rain. And where's that all gonna go? It's gonna go in your stove. So I don't like this. I'm glad it came with it, and it'll help, not burn down a forest or your tent, but this is not enough for me. And I'm gonna show you how I attach this rain cap spark arrestor in just a second. But if you like what you're seeing here on Camping with Mike and Rick, please like, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications so you'll be alerted as soon as we put out new videos, because we have a lot of videos coming up. All right, let's take this off, and I'll tell you what, this was hard to get on. It got me, thinking of words I didn't really want to say. But it's great, it's just not what I want. Sorry, Camp Chef. I'm glad you included it, but I would much rather use this because now there's no rain going to come inside. Now this doesn't necessarily fit perfectly. This slides down, and you know, really it's not supposed to go beyond where these creases are, but it's not, it's maybe slightly under 6 inches. So I'm going to slide this down farther. And what I'm going to do, and I brought my tools with me here, I'm going to put 3 screws in this. And I may take this off, maybe. I may just leave it on. Now, the one thing I want to point out too that I really like about this, versus just having the mesh spark arrestor, there's these 3 metal pieces that hold the rain cap on. And I've put, well, I guess, well, one of them is a carabiner, but I put these on here to attach the rope to, so it's not attached right to the metal in case that metal gets hot. So I'm going to screw that together. I can take it apart if I want. Let me do that real fast. Okay, that took forever. Why is every project harder than you think it's going to be? So I got these screwed in. It'll be easier to get them in and out in the future, but hopefully this rain cap will never come off. Now, before I go any further, what I want to do is I want to line this up correctly, and I'm going to set this so that these 2 carabiners here are metal clips. They are facing both poles, all right? Because what I want is I'm going to get some guide lines. I'm going to tie it to that pole, and then I'm going to tie one down. I mean, I guess I could actually, without putting any other stakes in the ground, tie them to both metal poles and to this stake over here. That'll really help it to give more security in a heavy or strong wind. All right, let's get these guide lines. All right, so I've got one guide line here, and we're going to tie my one bad knot. I'm going to retie these in the future once I, you know, find out how to tie it right. I'm going to tie it a little bit short because I don't want it to come into contact with this pipe. All right, so there's one guide line. It's going to go to the front of the tent right there. It's got a little extra rope. That one's got to be longer. It's going to the back of the tent. Okay, so it's time to use this step ladder, and I know it's not always like you want to bring extra things along with you, but for me, got to have the step ladder on this trip. All right, so the first thing is I'm going to attach this top of the pipe. Now, you really want the top of the pipe to be longer. Now, there's no way for me to put those guide lines on if I didn't do it beforehand. Now, I've already got these holes pre-drilled here, so I'm going to do my best to find them, and I'm going to have to screw them in. The challenge is actually going to be the opposite side, because I cannot see that side. I didn't think about that. If I have trouble getting to that other side, I can spin the pipe inside the tent a little bit so that I can see that hole. I can see these 2, but I think I'm going to have to spin the pipe inside the tent. And actually, I probably don't need to go inside the tent to do it. Those holes line up good. I was wondering how well it would work to line those holes up after the fact, after I put it together back at my house. So now that all of the pipes have screws in them, I can actually lift it right here and should be able to spin it. Yeah, I'm going to spin it. Well, I'm going to spin it your way so you can see it instead of me. Now that's a really tight fit right there. So it's not wanting to spin on that rubber. But it's going to have to spin a little bit to where I can see it. This is one thing I wasn't accounting for, but that's why I come out here and review this so you all can do it better than I do it. All right, holes lined up. Screws go back in real nice. All right, I'm going to twist this back as well as I can. Then I'm going to go inside the tent and readjust there. Then I'll come back out here. Okay, so everything is lined up in the tent real well. Let me even push this down a little. I want that seal to be really good in case it rains. Okay, now I'm going to put this line up here. Now this pipe doesn't have to be perfectly straight. I'm going to tie it here. Now all I want to do is just give it some stability. I can come back here and tighten this up a little more if I need to. Yeah, that pipe is pretty straight up and down. Let me attach this back one. Again, it's not about having it super snug. I want it to be a little snug though. All right, so this first one's snug, good enough. Let's finish the last one. Now again, this last one I didn't cut yet. I want to make sure it was the right length. I'm gonna give it a little more length here. And what I always do is I burn the end of these paracords to make sure they don't unravel. There you go, just melting it a little bit. Now I can attach this right here to this other stake in the ground. Again, I'm not going for super tight. I just want it to not, I want to have a better chance of not blowing over in a storm. Okay, so this was all about, you know, putting this stove together, putting this pipe up, securing the pipe with screws, and then also putting that rain cap spark arrestor on. And then on top of that, then I tied these guy lines down to that stake over there, to the top of the front of the tent and the back of the tent. Now, I guarantee you, God can take this tent down if he wants to, but this will handle a big storm. And I've been in some storms with these already, not with this stove and that stove pipe, but I've got them screwed together. It's a heavy base with that stove, and I've got these guy lines. I'm more comfortable now to be in a storm with this setup than without having attached or screwed in those pipes and without having those guy lines. You may not want to do it if it's perfect weather. Okay, take your chances. I've been through enough storms. I'm doing this every time, even if I believe or know the weather is going to be perfect. Again, if you like what you're seeing here on Mike and Rick Outdoors, please like, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications so you'll be alerted as soon as we put out new videos. Thanks again for watching all the way to the end. I'll see you back out here in Colorado in the next video.